You always ask me this question, what is a man trying to check out from? Life? Why would people want to check out? Because life is hard, life is painful, life is a bitch. And to add to this, it's extremely complex to navigate through. To add to this, look at their specific kind of times. Why they want to check out? Because they can't handle it. And this is not a disrespect, like I understand that you cannot handle it. Very few people can. A lot of people we think can handle it are only handling certain aspects of it, but you don't see their back-end life, which is just chaos. You can't judge a book by its cover. It's cliche, but it's the facts. We see a lot of people on the internet and celebrity life, and you think they have it all figured out, but no, it's just a facade. Right? So the most popular, grandiose celebrities are the first who would check out. Their lives was checking out, except for these little moments on stage. Right? So the point is, life is hard. And those of you who don't understand this, you're like totally numb. But life is difficult. Our times make life all the more difficult. There is no guidance. Even religion is kind of like on the going out. So, and look at the circumstances outside. And we're at a specific juncture in time where we don't need men. Let's say 200 years ago, we need men. So you'll create a whole ethos around we need men, and you'll invent a story why men are important and their function and how they'll boast it up to give you a reason to work and cut trees. But today we don't need this. So that's not even there anymore. Even the fake story to make yourself believe that you're important or to give a sense of meaning to your life is gone. So you wake up one day, your life has no meaning, it has no direction. Society doesn't even offer you one anymore. Whereas in the past, maybe you had no meaning or direction, but society created one for men in order for them to work, right? So that's not even there anymore. You can't even pretend that you need to go to work so that you can provide for your wife and children. That could be a justification, a minimal one, a shit one, but that worked for some time. I got to keep going to work because if I don't, who's going to take care of my kids? Even that is gone. So your average guy has literally nothing to live for. So of course they want to check out. All the time. We've covered this before, I'm going to go over it again. Listen, we are entering the age of the Metaverse. The age of the Metaverse is the world where the ones who check out go check in. It is the new world where people are going to check in. But the reason people are going to run to it, the reason people run to TikTok, listen, I'm not a TikTok person. I don't know if I've spoken about this before. At some point I downloaded the app to see what it is. And you're just like, this is insanity. It is insane. It's insanity upon insanity upon insanity. It's nauseating. It's disgusting. I spent like, I don't know, let's say 10 minutes looking around this. And I'm like, I felt sick. I felt depressive. I felt my life has no meaning. And I look at all these people who are doing meaningless things who are more important than me in their meaninglessness. So my brain was, and this is, I'm a conscious person. Now I just, like a dog with water, got it off my back and I'm like, turn this shit off. This is insane. So people live off of this shit. Why? Because they're looking to check out. And the Metaverse is the world where we're going to allow people are going to check in. Well, that tells you everything. And you have to ask yourself, well, why do you want to check out? Because it's painful. Life is painful. It's difficult. It's hard. And the little things that used to give us pleasure before, or a form of nurturing, even these things have been taken away from us. Like even we speak about like a so-called beta male with his wife, right? And we can judge this and criticize this. Everybody's an alpha male today because everybody's an alpha male, right? So, go funny, but read the stats. It's bullshit. So I'm using these words because we understand each other. But as a so-called beta male, you have a wife, you may have kids, and that little world is very comfortable. That's why people sign up for this. What do they get? Well, a form of security, it's an illusion, a form of comfort, a form of nurturing. Time slows down and almost stops. You're accepted as you are. and you have a family, it's your world, it belongs to you, and people care about you. Okay, well, within that space, there's a certain kind of experience, right? Well, that's even taken away now. Your average person is, let's say 1 out of 2 women are single. Well, what does that say? That means people are on their own. And this is just increasing. That means men are on their own. So that means even these kinds of comforts are being taken away. So where are you going to go get your dose of love? Where are you going to go feel good about yourself? So enters the metaverse. So all this to say, it's like, well, this is the world we live in. The world is hard. Life is hard. The meaning is gone, and even the fake meaning that was given to us has been removed. And people are just wondering, like, why am I living? What's the point? They don't necessarily consciously think this. Some do. But this is a side note. What am I living for? I don't want to live. This suicidal tendencies is a form of masturbation and self-pleasuring, in case you didn't know. So, but I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about those who are, it's like, bleh, right? Just consume TV, Nintendo, little games, Nintendo, right? Because if I don't do that, what do I deal with? Just problems upon problems upon problems upon problems upon problems upon problems. And I haven't even spoken about myself as the supreme problem, right? And everything is hard. My relationship with myself is hard. Imagine when they shit, it must be hard. Their relationship with their mother, hard. Father, hard. Siblings, hard. Friends, hard. So-called girl, hard. You go to school, unpleasant. It's like everything is hard. And they don't understand why. Of course, they feel it's got to do something with them. And in a way it does, but in a way it doesn't. Nobody's really educating them. And even if they would receive such an education, there is such a mountain to climb to be able to be functional. How many people really want to do that? A few. Some people find a way to compensate. Like they're going to take one lane. Like let's say your human experience is 15 lanes. They can take 1 or 2 lanes and just like focalize on this. And because they're capable, you have to understand they're capable of doing it. It's not everybody who's capable in the first place. The rest just want out. That's understandable. And look at what the social media offers you. An illusionary world where you can have people respond to you. An illusionary world where you may be important. An illusionary world where you have something to say and your opinion matters. Like look at Twitter. If you ever go on Twitter and just scroll for a minute, it's fascinating. I've never used those platforms. I've never used Twitter personally. I have my account just as I use it to get the news, at least from one side of the news, just updates. But I've never been a Twitter person. I never really understood it. But when you look at it, it's like, look at this. So a person makes a comment. The comment is character-based. You can only, I don't know how many characters. So whatever you say, you have to say something blunt and extreme. For example, all dolphins are ugly. Now, of course, this is going to make other people respond. Oh yeah, all dolphins are ugly. Everybody has an opinion. And everybody writes their opinion, and everybody's opinionated, like if their opinion is actually important, as they're giving their opinion, they're going to change, number one, your opinion, and they're making a statement that is infinitely important. And then when you zoom out, you look at, like, imagine you could zoom out and you could just look at the number of words and posts and threads and retweets of just people vomiting and vomiting and vomiting, but nobody cares. Nobody gives a flying fuck what you think. Nobody. And what you think changes nothing. It gives you the illusion that your point of view is important. And then you hope that maybe somebody's going to read it and push that little heart. And they're going to be like, yeah, somebody liked my shit. I have like 18 people who like my shit. And for a little moment, you're like, I'm important. I made a comment that 18 people in the middle of infinite Twitter space responded to. So if I could just do that more often and optimize this, then maybe I would feel good about myself because I'm important. It's ridiculous. So you have people who are so-called influencers who are able to play with this and get the capacity to get at will people's responses. But if you see what they're saying, it's like, well, what does it matter what you say? How is your comment on Justin Trudeau changing anything about what's happening? It's all nourishing narcissism. Yourself, the false sense that you're special, the false sense that you're important, the false sense that your life, quote unquote, matters. Not that it doesn't, but it certainly doesn't on Twitter. So anyways, all this to say, people need to check out. They have these tools that they're at their disposal, but these aren't going to do it. They're not strong enough anymore. Remember, the disease is always increasing. So the metaverse is the future. It's literally going to be an immersive world where a person can literally check out from this reality and check in into another one where they can control, or at least this is where it wants to go, control your experience 100%. So if I want to be a girl, as a guy, I can experience the hormonal, at least the replica of the hormones of a woman and actually be a woman. I can have the experience I want. If I want to be in Paris and there's nobody in Paris, that would be there. If I want to be a dog, I'm a dog. If I want to be a dolphin, I'm a dolphin. If I want to be a dragon, I'm a dragon. I can totally check into the reality I want. In other words, I can have the perfect drug that gives me the exact experience I want to live. Okay, so this so-called metaverse is essentially doing what modern society or urban living has always been about, except it's doing it in a perfected manner. We don't have to deal with time, and we don't have to deal with biology, and we don't have to deal with the construction cycles of society. We can go there, you can have it instantaneously, but what's urban living? We go away from nature and how it's always been supposed to be, into an artificial constructed world where we don't have to respect nature's laws. You have food at your disposal, so that you have free time in which you can construct your character, which is grander than life, in order to have certain kinds of experiences that you want to have for yourself. Right? So the metaverse is just the supreme version of it, where we don't have to waste or create pollution to achieve our little moment, and we can have it instantaneously and non-stop due to technological advancements. So the concept of checking out is not new, but that level of wanting to check out, this is next level shit, and technology is meeting the disease and participating in its growth also. Because, and we go back to what we said originally, we're talking about for men, but it's the same for women. Life is a fucking bitch. It's hard. How do you justify yourself? Life of suffering. Like, how do you justify yourself? Like, so when does it end? And why am I suffering? Like, is there a meaning to it? You can't even find a meaning to your suffering. So some philosophers said to live is to suffer and to survive is to find meaning into suffering. Very, very intelligent quote from a point of view. But I can't even find a meaning to my suffering. Explain it. So in Christian theology, they presented a form of understanding. It's Christ and Satan and your meaning is afterlife and this and that and we are here in light, right? So they're kind of giving you, that's not even there anymore. So why am I, fuck you. And then all I got to do is push a button and the pain is gone. Why wouldn't I push the button? Because you're weak. I'm like, yeah, well, whether I'm weak or not, it's irrelevant. The fact that I'm suffering and my suffering is increasing, the fact that very few people want to address my suffering, the fact that very few people even understand my suffering. We're talking about a real understanding, not, well, you're suffering because you don't do exercise. I'm like, I don't want to do exercise. Well, that's because you're weak. I'm like, yeah, well, we're back at the same point, aren't we? Right? So why am I not going to push the button? Why am I not going to plug myself in? And this is the reality. People are just being dishonest. Like this obsession. I used to be when I was a teenager. I'm from the Nintendo generation. Nintendo came up. I was, I don't know, 7, 8. Then I got a Genesis and Super Nintendo. And then I stopped there. And my friends got the Nintendo 64. And I was off of that shit at that time. But I played on that shit like a motherfucker, man. I used to spend my Saturday evenings playing on this. I loved that console because I was playing NHL hockey and the games were updated so I could create a character and I could put my name on it with my number and I was in the NHL playing with Wayne, man. It was awesome. It sucked as shit. It sucked as fuck. But for me, with my little constricted universe, it was amazing. And I could spend hours on it. And then when the guys would come, then we can play 2, 3, and then we'd compete. We'd spend like summer days playing these games nonstop. We'd go outside and play basketball and bullshit, because the games were not so immersive yet. They were great, but not compared to now. Now it's like real. Then it's like, right? It didn't have the same effect. Let's put it this way. And we would play for hours. We're checking out. That's what we're doing. Like watching TV. You're checking out. So why wouldn't the people from this generation, why wouldn't you? Of course you want to check out. I don't want to deal with this. And anyways, what I was saying was these games, you know how many millions of people are playing these games? Everybody's playing these games. Everybody's not. I'm not playing these games, and maybe you're not. But it's immense. So that's a pre-version of a metaverse. People are checking out, playing these silly ass fucking games, creating universes for themselves. And the next step is immersive. You're in the game, and then you meet other people who are in the game, and you have your own NFT clothing and your own cars and your own shit. So you create another world over there. That's checking out and checking in. So anyways, to conclude, that's suffering. And people are complacent. They somehow love their suffering. It's pure narcissism suffering. Genuine suffering is one thing, but the way people are suffering now, it's like you are identified to it. I am my suffering. I'm suffering for whatever reason. It's like the center of your universe. Me, 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 me. There's only me. And if you decide to do something about it, it's always about you, of course. And if you don't do anything about it, and you just let yourself fall into the deeper level of despair, it's all about you. It's just absolute self-centeredness. And this is not a criticism, it's just to say, well, that shows you the height of the disease. When you go on the internet, you go on YouTube, you go on Instagram, or you go on to those things, right? This is going to upset people, right? But people are there to glorify themselves. A person who feels so important that she's speaking to her followers all the time, everything she's doing, like how do you think? I understand that it can be monetized. Yeah, but the fact that you want to monetize, I understand that we have to respect the day and age, but it's not just that. There's a sense of I'm special. Yeah, but if you need 70,000 people, 100,000 people to tell you you're special, how do you really feel? Who wants to talk about those things? Well, I know how people feel because I spend time with people, countless hours with people. I know the truth underneath the facades. But the world buys the facade. So she sells you a facade, compensating for the fact that she detests herself. And you're watching this and saying, well, I should do the same. So we have a world of self-centered, narcissistic individuals. This is that universe. And everybody's just trying to glorify themselves. And and this is the paradox, and through that process, there are some people that are actually sharing something of use. So you can't really judge it, but the whole thing is diseased. All of this to say, people are in pain, and very few people want to address the pain. And that's why I say these so-called people pretending to be medical doctors, they're not doctors. The doctor is there to heal your suffering. They don't understand your suffering. They'll give you drugs. And the self-help gurus and all those people, no disrespect to them, they'll just try to NLP you. Is that how you say it in neuro-linguistic programming? They're going to try to hypnotize you to do something else beside what you do to compensate, in other words, so that you can do another kind of behavior that creates another experience. But nobody wants to address the actual issue. Nobody, ever. Because they don't understand it. It's so deep, it scares them. And if nobody addresses it, then the problem only gets worse. And I see it this way. It's like, well, it's only getting worse, and therefore technology, or the need for technology, increases, and it's pointing how bad the problem is. It's getting so bad that people need to immigrate from here to the metaverse. And we're talking about what, 10, 20 years maximum? Like in the movie. That's your homeboy Elon Musk's Neuralink business. Plugging yourself so that your nervous system can give you an immersive, they can stimulate the nervous system so you have an immersive version. This is like the movies. That's why I said that lady, her name is Sophia, somebody who actually wrote The Matrix. You can't just invent that. You have to have visions. You have to be a seer. When none of that technology exists and you have nothing to refer, or like, right, you have to be a seer to be able to come up with something like this, which is why I said that these so-called women they stole that shit. In fact, she won in court. Tangent closed. Neuralink is attempting to do something similar. So we're going towards this. What it's pointing for me, my analysis is that, well, this is the disease. And in order for people to survive, technology, which is creating the solution, is taking people away from themselves. That's the key.